I'm thinking about switching the channel to WTF TV because I want to cover all the weird things in Asia. Um, some of you might know my most famous video previously was Yuri on Ice, and I wanted to do some gaming ones, and YouTube shut me down, so it was like kind of crushing. So I haven't done any new videos, but I was so freaking inspired by Wang Yibo and Xiao Zhan, who, as you may know, are the stars of Untamed. I happen to speak Chinese. I happen to grew up in Sichuan, so I know a lot about what's going on between them. And I've been avoiding doing a video, but I think it's gotten to the point that I have to talk about them. My observation from someone who has experience, grew up in China, in Sichuan, granted is different from Chongqing, where Xiao Zhan is from. So let's talk about them briefly. A friend of mine have alerted to me this video in Wang Yibo's new street dance program. So they were basically talking about like somebody order food for you, and if you don't eat hot pot, you would not know this, like what's called Gong Cai. And he's like, Wang Yibo appears that he knows this. Gong Cai and mountain yam, and like the gong vegetable. We don't even have a translation for it. He was saying like if you order this, you probably eat a lot of hot pot. And he says, I really like eating Gong Cai. And if you just like swish it in a hot pot for like just a little bit, it's gonna turn out amazing. And it's quite crunchy, and you know, I'll explain more. I'll explain what the Sichuanese think of like Gong Cai. And if you see like later in this video, I don't know if he talks about it. Well, you see Wang Yibo, like watch out for his like freaking expression, right? He's like in like Gong Cai heaven. So here's the thing, like if you watch this whole video, the guy who he ordered it for is gonna talk about was like, I'm a little surprised you know this because I don't think people your age would know it. And here's the thing, like, you know, like growing up in Sichuan, if I go Google Sichuan hot pot, must order Sichuan hot pot images, you do not see Gong Cai on there very often, but yes, all of us eat Gong Cai a few times a year, usually with our parents. If you're born in the 1980s, and Xiao Zhan is like the beginning of 1990s, right? But if you talk to my cousins, they probably don't eat Gong Cai. It's only the like slightly older 90s, slightly younger 80s generation that are really friendly with the parents and grandparents who are like went through some kind of, I don't know, personally I think they went through some kind of freaking like depression and starvation. So like it was like very difficult back then to even get meat a few times a year. So they're freaking eating Gong Cai. Right? Like this vegetable, if you see it the first time, it's really not that attractive. It just looks like this shriveled green stem that is, it always has this like wrinkly look on the outside, but it is truly crunchy inside, but it does have like a slight aftertaste. So I don't know if like I were to introduce it to my friends, I expect them to like it. I expect them to say something weird and mean. I think American like Sichuanese food is very different. So it's Japanese Sichuanese food is very different. And like so I did a little bit of digging, right? I was like, is this a Chongqing thing? So first of all, even before I watched the full Bilili video, I was like, it's a little strange, you know. I think this is an older generation thing. Like I would not expect like my, as I mentioned earlier, my cousins would not eat Gong Cai, right? It's just not cool for them to eat Gong Cai. But like me and my parents and my grandma were like, oh, Gong Cai, like so nostalgic. So like part of like this like native cuisine, you know, something you order like a few times a year. And so I went to look around and I found more videos of Wang Yibo, but just a digression, right? So, real quick, why am I doing this video? I really felt like there's so much things going on in Asia that's so interesting. And like Untamed, when it became popular in Asia, not only I read the entire novel, I also know a lot of American friends that read the entire novel. So I feel like the two worlds are super connected now. And I can't just do a WTF Japan channel anymore. And don't get me wrong, I love Japan. I took college courses in Japan. I went to Japan to work. I love Japan so much, but I really see there's like some great contents in China, so I'm gonna have to do it. So I just want to remind you, like just a few years ago, 2 years ago, I watched this video of Wang Yibo introducing hot pot. It was quite depressing, to be honest, because his dishes, his orders are super plain, super bland. It's more like Japanese shabu shabu. I eat Japanese shabu shabu too. It's good for beef. Look, he's like going straight to the really light one, and all his dishes are super light, and then bland, plain. Not in a derogatory form. It's not your Sichuanese hot pot. And to know that this was 2 years ago, September 4th, 2017, from Mango TV, and 2 years later, he's freaking telling you how to eat Gong Cai and mountain yam in your hot pot. It just blows my mind. You know what I mean? It blows my mind. Like somebody who knows so little about Sichuanese hot pot and has such a set view of it. And then when you hear him talking to the reporter, he's just like, why are you bothering me? Like the reporter asked him, okay, like what is the most important thing in Sudanese hot pot? He's like, let me think. The pot. Without the freaking pot, you can't cook hot pot. I was like, what the? It goes with my channel basically. But then if you look at now, he's like freaking recommended. He's like, oh, I love Gong Cai. Gong Cai is the best. It's like you switch it around for a few seconds. It's like freaking like delicious, crunchy. I also think that is kind of like, it is still a little different. Like as a native, I think it's still a little chewy. It's not that crunchy. So you can tell that he's pretty new to this. He didn't grow up with this. But I think a lot of Sichuanese restaurants will serve Gong Cai, but I don't think you would order it if you're not native. I don't think you would even be looking for it. I have a friend who loves Sichuanese food, loves hot pot in the US. She's never noticed Gong Cai on the menu ever. But like if I am native, I go to a restaurant, that's the first thing I'm gonna notice, right? If you have something, some of the stuff is a little strange, but there are a few ingredients that I just like, oh, this boss, this owner is from Sichuan or Chongqing. Like I personally don't know a whole lot about Chongqing hot pot. So here's a Bilibili video. Bilibili video. I keep saying wrong. So it's saying in Chengdu, you will get like oyster sauce in your sesame oil. And this is Chongqing. They use this like 9-grade system that control temperature. And then they will go through the ingredients. What? Like, do you understand, as someone who's Chinese, who grew up eating Gong Cai, I would not be able to freaking recognize it if it just come out of a 9-grid system like that. It could be, there are quite a few things. We eat a lot of green vegetables, and we do a lot of them Julian style, stringy. There is no way. Like, are you kidding me? Look at him. He like freaking shouted out the answer within like a fraction of a second, and he's like freaking like basking. He's like putting his lips together. I'm just like, are you kidding me? Like, do you remember? He's like, Gong Cai is delicious. Like, I'm not trying to read too much. Anyway, the intestines dancing, what the fuck? But like, I'm not trying to read too much into how well like Xiao Zhan and Wang Yibo gets along. But when I watched this, I lost my senses, and I felt like I had a video. Like, look at him before he like doesn't like talking to people, like barely talks, just eats. Are you kidding me? A few years later, he's like recommending you what to eat. And like if you look at again, like I urge you to go Google. I urge you to go Google Hot Pot Sichuan. You don't see Gong Cai very often. You have to be with someone who is like literally home all the time, have shown you, or his parents or his family, somebody in the older generation respectful have shown you, and I kind of watch with fun that you try something so native, like local. And then you have to be someone new to it, because the way he's described Gong Cai is like very different. If you grew up in Southwest China, you would describe it as like probably chewy as it's crunchy. You wouldn't really swoosh it and then just take it out. It's something that you're like, oh yeah, like I think it can cook for a while. Like I'm comfortable with just leaving in the pot for a little bit. It's not gonna go bad. It's not gonna fall to basically these crumbs and melt away like the mountain yam. So this is really interesting to me, and I did further research by going on Weibo, and I searched for Gong Cai, and like literally a lot of China is literally trying this for the first time because Wang Yibo mentioned it. He's so popular, has such a fan base, and it just like it's the transformation between these 2 years is like crazy, from introvert to extrovert, from not being able to eat Japanese shabu shabu, totally playing probably on the spectrum of the lowest spiciness, to Chongqing, which even Chengdu people think it's a little spicy because it's just a different style. We think it's like has more of that red chili pepper, like Thai pepper taste. So mind blowing for me. I don't know what to say, how close they are, but I got pretty excited, if you know what I mean. Anyway, so I did watch the novel. Comment below, tell me what you think. I have not been able to revive the channel. I'm glad I found something so exciting I want to talk about. I did play the game that Xiao Zhan sponsored, Xiao Zhan. And I really want to show you. It's really cool. The game, Xiao Zhan put a lot of thought into it. There's a lot of things you can do in the game with Xiao Zhan. I thought it was really, really cool. So his name is like Xiao Shixiong. He's like basically your senpai, like Xiao senpai, Xiao master Xiao in the game. He's somebody who you respect it and look up to. So if you're interested in seeing more untamed stuff, just let me know. I read the whole novel. I was so afraid of ghosts and horror, but I read the whole thing. I watched the show 3 times, 4 times maybe now, and it's super scary for me, but I just love them so much. I really think this is going at a great direction, and the content it's just so cool to see so much of the world taking interest in Chinese drama. And I've been a big fan of Japanese drama, Korean drama for many years, and to see Chinese drama picking up like this with this kind of quality, costume, and acting, mind blowing.